AITA for kicking my brother and his family out of my house after what his daughter did at my wedding. I, 29F, got married 3 weeks ago to my now husband, Jason, 31M. We had a relatively small wedding with about 80 guests, mostly close family and friends. We held at a lakeside venue that we both loved, and it was genuinely the best day of my life, until it wasn't. For background, I come from a family of 3 siblings. My older sister Rachel, 32F, myself, and my younger brother Noah, 27M. Noah has always been the baby of the family, and my parents still treat him that way, even though he's a grown man with a wife and 2 kids. His daughter Lily, 10F, is the subject of this post. Lily has always been a bit of a handful. She's not malicious, just very high energy and not great with boundaries. Noah and his wife Lindsay tend to let her get away with a lot because they believe in gentle parenting to an extreme degree. That means Lily is rarely told no and often ends up dominating every family gathering. Everyone just tiptoes around her behavior. I'll give you one small example. Last Thanksgiving, she climbed up on the dining room table during dinner to dance because she wanted everyone to look at her. She knocked over 2 wine glasses and ruined the tablecloth. Noah laughed. My mom wiped it up. Nobody said anything. So I was nervous about her at the wedding. I didn't want her to ruin anything, especially not the dress or ceremony. I was very clear in my expectations. When we sent out the invites, we included a note for parents to help monitor their children closely and not let them wander unattended, especially near the lake or during the ceremony. I even spoke to Noah personally the week before and said, "Please keep Lily close. This is a big day and I don't want any chaos." He assured me it would be fine. I should have known better. The ceremony went smoothly, surprisingly. Lily was seated with Noah and Lindsay and behaved okay, mostly because she had a tablet with headphones. I thought maybe we'd turn a corner. The reception is where everything unraveled. During the cake cutting, we had this gorgeous custom-designed cake that cost way more than I'm proud to admit. It was 5 tiers, hand-painted details, and had a sugar sculpture of a lake and forest to reflect the venue. I loved it so much I almost cried when I saw it. Right before we were supposed to cut the cake, the photographer was setting up shots. Jason and I had stepped aside to speak with my grandmother when suddenly we hear gasps, followed by someone shouting, "Oh my God!" Lily had pushed her hands into the side of the cake deep. She was pulling out chunks and licking the frosting off her fingers. Apparently, she'd said, "I wanted to taste it first." I stood there in absolute shock. The entire side of the cake was destroyed. The sugar sculpture was shattered. There was frosting smeared all over the table and floor. She'd completely ruined it. And what did Noah do? He laughed, like a full-on belly laugh, then said sorry. She got excited. Lindsay rushed over and half-heartedly wiped Lily's hands with a napkin. No one disciplined her. No one removed her from the room. No apology. Just a few awkward chuckles from my family, and then the photographer quietly backed away. I didn't want to cause a scene, so I just turned and walked to a back room and cried. Jason followed me and was furious. Eventually, I pulled myself together and went back out. The rest of the night was a blur. People tried to cheer me up, but I was so upset. The next morning, Noah and his family were still staying in our guest house. They had asked to stay an extra 2 days because they were flying out late. I told Jason I didn't want them in my house. He agreed. So I went over and told Noah, calmly, that after what happened, I no longer felt comfortable hosting them and they needed to make other arrangements. Noah acted shocked. He said I was overreacting and it was just cake. I said it wasn't just cake. It was a boundary that had been completely ignored, and the lack of accountability was the last straw. He accused me of ruining the trip for his kids and said I was being cruel to a 10-year-old. I told him I wasn't punishing Lily. I was holding him accountable for allowing her to do whatever she wanted at my wedding. He left angrily and ended up getting a hotel. Since then, my parents have been pressuring me to apologize. They say I embarrassed Noah and made a bigger deal out of it than it needed to be. My mom keeps saying she's just a child and you'll understand when you're a parent. My dad agrees that it was unfortunate but thinks I should let it go. Even Rachel, who knows how Lily acts, told me that while she understands my frustration, she thinks kicking them out of the house was too far and has made things harder for the family. Jason is 100% on my side. He said if it were his niece, his brother would have dragged her out of there immediately and apologized to everyone in sight. I know it's technically just a cake, but it's not about the cake. It's about the years of walking on eggshells around Lily and her parents, the constant excuses, and the fact that they always get a free pass. It was my wedding. I set clear expectations. They weren't respected. So, AITA for kicking them out after what their daughter did. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. AITA for refusing to pay for my sister's wedding dress, even though I could easily afford it. I, 35F, come from a big, traditional, somewhat messy family. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. Me, then Lauren, 32F, Eric, 29M, Jasmine, 27F, and Max, 24M. Our parents had a pretty rough marriage and split when I was 17. My mom relied heavily on me during and after the divorce, and I basically raised my younger siblings while trying to get through high school and college. I moved out at 19, worked full-time, went to school part-time, and helped with money when I could. My mom never really got her life together, and Lauren, the next oldest, always acted like that made her the real victim. She resented how much responsibility I had, resented that our dad talked to me more, resented that I left her to deal with things. It created a weird dynamic, and even as adults, she seems to look for ways to compete with me. Fast forward to now. I've done well for myself. I started a consulting firm in my late 20s that's done better than I ever imagined. I live in a paid-off house, no debt, no kids, no partner, and yes, a very healthy savings and investment portfolio. I also help my siblings from time to time, especially Max, who's still figuring things out. Lauren got engaged last year. Her fiancé is nice enough, but they both work jobs that pay okay. Not enough to afford a huge wedding, but enough for something nice and simple. Originally, she was going to keep it small, which made sense. But then she started comparing everything to my lifestyle. She told me it would mean a lot if I pitched in for the wedding. I was honestly expecting that and told her I'd be happy to cover the venue rental or catering. Something substantial, but within reason. She said she'd think about it. A week later, she sent me a link to a custom designer dress. Price tag? $14,000. Noig Sayirashchin. She attached a message that said, "This is the dress. If you could cover this, it would make my entire life. I'll pay you back slowly if I have to." I was floored. First of all, $14,000 for a dress is absolutely bonkers, especially when the rest of the wedding wasn't even planned yet. Second, we're not close like that. She's made digs about my money for years, telling people I got lucky or don't understand real struggles anymore. I've invited her to vacation with me before, and she said things like, "Must be nice to live like a damn princess." So I replied pretty calmly, saying that while I'd still love to help with part of the wedding, I wasn't comfortable paying that much for a dress. I suggested a few gorgeous alternatives that were still designer, but in the $3, $4K range. Still generous in my opinion. She lost it. Call me a selfish said I only act generous when it makes me look good, that I throw crumbs to people to keep them dependent on me, and that I owe her because I had it easier. Let me remind you I was 19 working 2 jobs and sending money home so she could finish high school. She then dragged our entire family into it. My mom called, crying, saying Lauren had dreamed of this dress for years and was heartbroken. Jasmine tried to stay neutral, but said, "You could pay for this without blinking. Why not just make her happy?" Eric, bless him, told them all they were acting entitled and that my money is mine. It turned into this massive family drama. Lauren uninvited me from the wedding, then re-invited me with the condition that I at least help with the honeymoon. I declined. I sent a $1,000 gift and told her I hope her day is beautiful, but I'm not interested in being part of the circus. Now she's telling people I abandoned her again. I've been getting texts from extended family saying it's just a dress and I'm being cold. Some of my cousins, who don't even know half of the story, are saying I've changed and that money made me arrogant. I haven't responded to most of them. The part that's messing with my head is, yes, I could afford the dress. Easily. I wouldn't even miss the money. But it feels like the principle matters more than the price tag. I've helped all my siblings quietly over the years, co-signed for Max's apartment, paid for Jasmine's wisdom teeth removal, helped Eric out of credit card debt once. No one said a word. But because I'm saying no to Lauren, suddenly I'm a villain. Even my partner, 38M, who usually supports me without question, asked if I was digging in just to prove a point. That stung. So I'm sitting here wondering, am I the asterisk hole for not just buying the damn dress and avoiding all this? AITA for ruining Thanksgiving by revealing a family secret I wasn't supposed to know? I'm 27F, and this story happened last year, but it's still a huge issue in my family. For context, I was adopted when I was 3 years old. My adoptive parents, Sarah and Mike, always told me I was adopted, but they never shared much detail beyond that. They'd always say, "Your birth parents couldn't care for you, but we're so glad you're here." That was it. I never pushed it growing up. I loved my adoptive family, and I felt wanted and cared for. Fast forward to last year. My cousin Ellie, 30F, was getting married, and I was helping my aunt, Sarah's sister, Linda, put together a family slideshow for the rehearsal dinner. She gave me access to a bunch of old family photos on a shared drive, including some scanned journals and documents. I was mostly looking for funny baby photos or old wedding pictures, but I came across a journal entry from Linda dated from 1999, the year I was adopted. Here's where everything exploded. In the entry, she wrote about how hard it was watching her sister, Sarah, struggle after giving up her own baby. At first I thought I misread it, but then she referenced my birthday, my exact birthday. My stomach dropped. I read more, and it became extremely clear that Sarah, my adoptive mom, is actually my biological mother. She got pregnant at 19, left for college, and gave the baby up for adoption to herself and her husband after they got married and settled down. The whole adoption was kept hush-hush, and even close family were told different stories. I didn't say anything immediately. I was shaken, but I figured there had to be more to the story. Over the next few weeks, I kept going back and forth about confronting her. Then Thanksgiving came around, and that's when everything blew up. Thanksgiving in our family is huge, around 25 people, including extended family. It was at my parents' house, and everything was going fine. But after dinner, people started drinking and telling stories from back in the day, and one of my uncles made a comment like, "Remember when Sarah disappeared for a year and came back with a tan and a baby?" Everyone laughed awkwardly. Sarah turned bright red and tried to laugh it off, saying, "Oh, you know how rumors start." That did it for me. I was sitting right there, hearing people joke about me, and it just felt like everyone knew except me. I lost it. I said, "Is that supposed to be a joke? Because it sounds like you're talking about me." The room went dead silent. My mom's face froze. I said, "Is it true? Were you pregnant with me and then adopted me to cover it up?" She stammered, and my dad jumped in and said, "That's not how it happened." I turned to my aunt, Linda, and said, "I read your journal. I know what you wrote." Sarah broke down crying. My dad tried to get me to leave the room with him, but I refused. I said, "I'm 27 years old. You don't get to hide things from me anymore." My grandmother yelled at my aunt for not locking the files. Linda defended herself, saying she had a right to know. It turned into an all-out screaming match. Eventually, I left. I drove to a friend's house and stayed there for a few days. I didn't talk to my parents for about a month. Since then, things have been tense. My mom has apologized, saying she only kept it secret because she was young and scared and thought she was doing the best thing for me. My dad says I was cruel for confronting her in front of everyone and ruining Thanksgiving. He said I humiliated her and made everyone uncomfortable. Some of my cousins have texted me privately saying they'd always wondered if something was weird about the timeline. One even said, "It makes so much sense now." But others, especially the older generation, think I was out of line. They say even if it's true, it wasn't the time or place to bring it up. I didn't plan to blow up Thanksgiving. I didn't go in looking to start drama, but I also felt like I was drowning in this secret, and suddenly everyone was laughing about something that was about me that I wasn't allowed to know. It felt cruel and condescending, and I snapped. Since then, our family holidays have been split. My parents still host Thanksgiving, but I haven't been invited since. I usually spend it with friends now. My relationship with my mom is slowly healing. We've had some long conversations, and she's trying to be honest with me now. My dad, however, still thinks I betrayed the family. He's civil but cold. So, AITA for exposing the secret at Thanksgiving?